All right, welcome to Talking Investing Friday live stream. I'm Tom. I am here with George. You can't see him right now, but George, are you there?
Barely.
You're barely there.
Yeah.
George, and it's not why you think, everybody. You might think it's because it was an awful day in the market, but it's because George has been chasing this storm. Am I right?
Yeah. If I did this last week or the week before, I would not be here right now. But there's a lot of things going on, Tom, that I think we need to talk about.
Absolutely.
Buying gold and silver, Alex, I don't think that's a good idea right now. I think we're in for a world of hurt that we've never seen before.
Hello,
That's
Alex.
what I believe, and this is not financial advice. I think after the election, so the next 60 days is going to be a very interesting time in this whole investment world.
The going into or coming out of the after the election?
After the election, that's the election's 30 days away, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
And
that's
I think
true.
I think that's when all the fun's going to start.
Just gonna take a second
And
to say
it's
hello
by
to Alex
design,
and
guys.
Seth and Sour Melon Gaming and who did I just forget? Colton. Did I say Seth? Barry.
Hey,
hello,
Seth.
everybody. Hello to everybody.
Hello. WL.
Happy Friday, even though it probably was not necessarily a happy Friday for you.
Well, Colton, we're going to hell, and that's not financial advice. Hey, JP, JD. Yeah, hey Barry.
Hey, JD.
It's going to be an interesting one.
I'll tell you today. I'm taking it with a grain of salt. I could let it frustrate me. I knew this was happening. I think everybody knows exactly why this happened, and everybody was being ridiculous.
Oh my goodness.
What?
Stronghold's down to 103.
Yeah.
Didn't get there. I said $1. Did it get there? It did get there. It did get there.
I saw it at $1.01. Did it get to $1?
It got to $1. That was my buy-in price, by the way.
Stronghold, and there was a big buying opportunity that I missed, and I even talked to myself about it but didn't do it. I was going to start adding Mawson because Mawson got so oversold this morning. It was down like 12% this morning, and I'm going to look. I think that it probably ended up on the day. Yeah, it ended up 4%. So that's up 16% from 10 o'clock this morning.
Wow.
And it was obvious. It was like because it was already it was already down 60% from its summer lows before this crash today. So I'm like, come on. At some point, it can't be worth zero. So, but now missing that 16%, now I don't want to jump in because that was a big piece of what I think was there to get.
But it's crazy, and I'm just extrapolating. I think you could see I'm just going to say it like this. I think you could see some 100x on some of these stocks. I'm not saying it's going to happen in a month or 2 months or even a year, but I think I could see 100x on some of these things.
I agree. I think there's you might be able to count them on one hand, but there's at least, I think, 5 Bitcoin miners that in a 5-year window have a chance of doing something like 100xing. So, and I never give those numbers on any of my videos because 5 years from now is so far away and it's too far out and so much is going to happen between now and then. But I think it's a very reasonable case scenario. I agree, George. I mean, it doesn't have to take a crazy set of circumstances to get these things up 20x for starters. Right? If Bitcoin just retests its high, which at some point it's likely to do. I mean, I don't think we think that, November of 2021 was the lifetime high for Bitcoin.
I am 107. How long do I have to wait, George? Are you really? You're not 107. It really depends on the American dollar right now. I think the plan was to crash all the other currencies. I think you're starting to see that, and now you got to take out the American dollar. I think after we take out the American dollar, then you'll start to see Bitcoin really rebound dramatically in new levels that we've ever seen before.
Well, speaking of the dollar,
I mean, look, we're set up for the perfect storm, and no one realizes it, and no one's talking about it. Okay, I, I don't. Just so you guys know, when I start thinking of the things I really want to say, I don't say them because there's only 32 people watching. So what's the point? You guys know how I feel, but let's be honest. Oh yeah, Kanye Tucker. Yeah, the midterms are just. I think personally, I think the next 2 years of the United States are going to be the most interesting 2 years. I think it could actually be the hardest 2 years of the republic as we know it.
there's an unbelievable amount of uncertainty, and there's a lot of division. So,
And I am a robot. This is not George. Sorry, did that happen again?
you sound like
So, I mean, if we had the ability to, we should pull up oil. We should pull up the price of oil, okay? And cutting it in half, would they cut it by 2 billion a day?
it did not help. Oil's at $92.
Yeah, $92, okay?
Up almost 5% today. So that's oil's going back. I know the I was going to do an actual video. There was a big article like oil's going to hit $60 before it hits $100. And I'm like, what are you people talking about? It like that was the day it was at like $87 and rising. I'm like, do you just hope that if you just say it, it's going to come true? Because that's not happening.
Wiping out the middle class 401ks. And I agree with war, inflation, and then throw in uncertainty of commodities, right? I mean, we have some of the scariest numbers on commodities that we've ever had, halving of Bitcoin. And then we forgot WLM. You forgot the most important thing that's destroying Bitcoin right now, which is, what is it called? ESG. Oh, we're going to get striked again. Sorry.
you love saying it. It's your...
We got to come up with another name for LBM.
I had
BLM.
Everybody should do me a favor. If you have not seen my interview with Ben from Bitfarms after the live stream, don't leave us now if you don't. But after the live stream, if you want to check that out, I talked to Ben a lot about ESG, and he had some insider type information. So it was a great conversation. And he also answered a few questions that I didn't think he was going to answer. So thank you, Ben. And if you haven't seen that, check it out. And if you there we go. And please like the stream. It helps us.
And do me a favor, if you guys happen to live in in Florida and you drive 75, please don't get in an accident. Please. Barry, the question isn't is WW3 good for Bitcoin. The question is if somebody drops a nuclear bomb, is it good for Bitcoin? That's the question. Because I think we're already in World War III. I think this is just how it happens to be playing out. There's
an awful lot of talk about nukes right now. I feel like it's 1983 again.
Here's what I think. No one's asked this question, but I'm going to pretend like somebody asked me. Do I think people are going to do nuclear bombs? No. Do I think they're going to pretend like they did a nuclear bomb in Ukraine? Yes. But I don't think it's going to be the strength, or it's not going to be, what's that thing called, Satan? It's not going to be that thing. Have you heard about that bomb, Tom?
No.
Oh.
I don't think so.
Well, that thing, forget it. Forget it. It's just huge.
Is it a conventional or is it?
It's a nuclear weapon.
Okay. Because we have some pretty big conventional bombs at this point that do an awful lot of damage.
What, you can't say
yeah,
bomb on a plane? Bomb, 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 bomb. Remember? Sorry, that's from a movie. I do that every once in a while. I do quotes from movies.
We're known.
Yeah, Seth says the pipeline was the start. I don't think the pipeline was the start, Seth. I think the start was us giving $70 billion to Ukraine. That was the start. But you can't, I mean...
I want to do a poll, and it's
beer.
not political, but it might be political. So I'm going to ask
Uh-oh.
first. Can we do a poll of who we think sabotaged the pipeline?
Oh, you're gonna have to put in 3 people.
Well, I'm just going to say the West.
No.
Or what?
How about this one? I have a different thought on this, and I don't even want to say it because it's probably who did it.
Well, you use your best judgment.
So, and this is, I don't even know if you thought of this person. Ready? The first one, China, Russia, or the United States, or even Germany.
Well, that's the 3. It's down. And though Germany, to me, all the allies, the West, the European Union and Great Britain and the United States work in concert for the most part in these international matters. And then obviously you've got, I mean, if you turn on the TV, they're all saying, well, the Soviets is the wrong word. Russia did this to themselves. I'm having a tough time.
Oh yeah,
buying
Ukraine.
That.
Ukraine too. Yeah, somebody just Barry just said, and then Colton. So many lies about Ukraine.
That's a good point.
Don't be no conspiracy theory. We don't hold those down here. Just ask Scott. That's a good one.
Martin saying that was funny how you asked him about the reverse stock split. I know. You know what? I'm like, I gotta ask him. You guys know that's what everyone's worried about. So I had to ask, and he answered.
He's lying too, just so you guys all know.
But he did answer.
He answered. He gave you the answer he had to give you.
He could have said, "Oh, I can't talk about stuff like that. SEC, blah blah blah."
But he gave you the answer he had to give you.
Well, he's certainly not going to say, yeah, that's we're really on the fence. We might be about to do that, but
yeah, he should be eating an apple, and Tom, he could be, Tom, we're fucked. Sorry. You know it's coming. I hate to say it. I mean, if what happens to Bitcoin happens to Bitcoin, which I think is going to happen to Bitcoin, and it has nothing to do with the matrix of Bitcoin. People, we have taken on a cause with Bitcoin. I hope you guys understand that. I didn't know that in the beginning. I didn't know that Bitcoin was a cause, but it is a cause.
But isn't it just a matter of time, or do you not have that conviction anymore?
Oh, absolutely. I have that conviction more now than I ever had before.
That's the trillion-dollar question is when.
Yeah, I can't give you that. I mean, I thought, maybe by the end, of this year, I thought it could take off, but I don't think it's going to now. I'm thinking that it's been pushed off. I think that, what is it, December 5th when we go to our digital currency and we do the Fed now or Fed buy or whatever they call it. Fed.
Fed now, yeah, I think that's what it's called.
And we do our Biden bucks, I think they're going to call them. Biden bucks. We're never going to be able to change the name. Biden bucks.
I'm still
not a joke.
I'm still sticking to 30,000 by the end of the year. Really, and I'm just talking about somewhere in the middle, a relief rally. I'm not saying 30,000 on the way to 60,000 on the way to 100,000. I'm saying somewhere in the middle. We're gonna get another one of those, like we've had 2 big relief rallies so far this year, and I feel like we got one more in us for Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is not behaving like the stock market. Bitcoin is starting to do its own thing. I mean, it's too soon to say, they've parted ways forever, but the last month, Bitcoin's been doing its thing.
And no one, hang on, just didn't.
Breaking news.
XRP. XRP.
XRP. The last time I checked, it was at 52 cents. It's on fire. I think that's the That's the best performing crypto of the last month or two anyway.
I still think XRP is going to 26 cents. I used to say 20 cents, now I'm saying 26.
So you still think there's a dip coming?
I still think there's a dip.
Barry said there was 3 attacks on crypto this morning, including Binance. Strange, they all happened together today. Yeah.
Oil cap time.
Well, and the big thing that happened today that everybody and it's not everybody. I believe it's Wall Street, and they just do this and they have their excuses already made. Right? The US got some good job numbers this morning. So, common sense would say, "Oh, that's good." But the market says, "Oh, that's terrible because we thought the Fed was going to ease up and stop raising rates, but now that employment is so strong, that gives them support to keep raising rates." And it's like, guys, we all know they're going to keep raising rates. Like so the UN asked us to not raise rates. That's not how the Fed works at all. They do not work for the UN. They technically don't even work for the US. And they have been unbelievably crystal clear about what they're going to do. So, if this giant sell-off because, oh no, now the Fed's going to raise rates, it's like, give me a break.
I'm with you, Eric. I'm not passionate enough. Oh, no, you said patient enough. I'm not patient enough either.
Either one.
Look at that. Bob, 2000 Cleanspark, just now, mic drop, boom.
Nice.
Boom.
Nice. Patience is unbelievably hard in this game. They make it so that it's not just a test of patience. It's a test of your will as a human being. It's the punishment that we've gone through with the Bitcoin miners. And really, if you guys are in any other small cap, high growth stuff, even the big stuff's getting taken out now, but not like the little stuff. When you're down 90% and then that turns into 95% and then it still keeps getting worse, you're thinking like, where's the end? But if you close your eyes and it's 5 years later, all of a sudden, I remember when McDonald's was stuck at like $24, and I held it for years and I dumped it. And it's like, what is it? What's McDonald's right now? $233. So I sold it at $24. Granted, that was more than a decade ago, but I had held it for years at that point, and I just couldn't take it anymore. So had I held on, that's a 10x. And that's one of the biggest, these are big companies. Apple 10x'd in that period of time. Microsoft 10x'd in that period of time. So, if a company like that can 10x, imagine one of these tiny companies. That's back to George's point where there's going to be 100x in here somewhere. I don't know when and I don't know which one. So, that's all a part of the due diligence process. And that's a part of the patience that we started talking about to begin with, Eric. There's going to be monumental gains. Having said that, on the other side, some of these companies probably aren't going to make it. So,
oh yeah,
it's going to go both ways.
Yeah. That was a good question Justin asked about Marathon. Did you read that one?
No, what was?
Are you reinvesting in Marathon yet?
I am not reinvesting in Marathon yet, and I will tell you, I did a video on Marathon. I congratulate them for putting a string of one good month in a row together. And I know, listen, a lot of people love Marathon, and a lot of people despise Marathon. So this is one, I just try to stick to what the deal is. I want to see them produce 600 or 700 Bitcoin next month. If they do what they did this month, and then they do that next month.
I'm pulling them up right now.
Then I'm going to say, all right, they're really back on their plan now. Because they spent the better part of a year you know, having each month one worse than the next. All the way to the point where they got down to producing 72 Bitcoin in a month. I mean, DigiHost was doing that.
It's no. How's that song go with Chevy Chase with the Christmas Vacation?
What?
Where he's running around trying to figure out how to turn on the lights.
I can't remember the song though.
Yeah, it's Christmas time. I can't remember, but it's a good song. But so, and that's I think the problem marathons are having. They can't. Somebody flips this. It's working. It's working, and then psh, they turn it back off.
I think they actually. I think they've turned the corner. I really do. But having said that, if you look at the chart that I show in most of my daily updates, they're already up 147% from this summer. So, like, they're the best performing.
The Bitcoin, the stock?
Marathon's stock is up more than any other Bitcoin miner stock from July 1st until right now, and it's not even close. Riot is in a distance.
Really?
Second.
Wow.
Yes. So
that doesn't even make sense.
Well, because it's speculation. You know, I had a conversation with Alex about this yesterday. It's you could scratch your head and not believe me. I scratch my head too, but there's so much potential there that they still have enough people buying into the potential and buying into the hype, and those people might end up being right. I'm not going to buy that way. There's so many other, I'm not going to say easy picks, but there's so many other picks that I think are so fundamentally sound. I'd rather just stick with those and not have to roll the dice on whether Marathon ends up doing what they say they're going to do. So that's not one I'm in. I am in Riot. Riot's clockwork. They've been very consistent. Now, their production with all the curtailment they had to do this summer was a pretty big curveball. And I want to know how much money they got paid in September because they did not disclose that in energy credits. So that's the first, to me, that's the first misstep they've made all year, in my opinion, is not disclosing the energy credits that they got in September. And if it was zero, they should have just said it was zero. It is what it is, because that curtailment program is over now, and it's business as usual in October, which is why I'm expecting October is going to get interesting. There's going to be some big numbers posted in October, in my opinion.
I'm looking up Marathon right now to find out who owns the majority of Bitcoin, Marathon. And if my theory is right, who do you guys think owns the majority of Marathon Digital Holdings?
What, you're looking up in the institutional stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. I can give you.
Sure what?
I'm sure
Who,
BlackRock's
Tom?
in the top 3, if not the top 2.
What? What?
Vanguard. Let me see. Am I getting any?
Vanguard is 8.3%. BlackRock is 6.29%.
Yeah, they're
Morgan Stanley is 2.5.
If you're a real stock, those guys are the number 1 and 2 investors in like 80% of the stocks in the entire stock market. It's ridiculous.
So remember BlackRock was all ESG and their Blackcoin.
His annual letter was,
Bitcoin's bad for the environment.
ESG. $11 trillion. We're gonna, I talked a lot about ESG with Ben, and I'm going to be putting out a video next week. There's 2 big studies that are quoted on this whole Bitcoin thing. I have to read the other one. The one from Cambridge, I read from cover to cover, and I was appalled. So I'm going to do a video on that one. But I'm going to read the other one because Ben said the other one's way worse than that. He said it's just outright lies. It's inaccuracies, lies. And it makes sense to me. And I don't think Cambridge was lies. They disclosed what they did. So, to be fair, they disclosed their methodology. It's just their methodology was ridiculous. And their final answer, they literally call it a guess. here's our guess. So that was a key fundamental part of their methodology in determining how much carbon emissions Bitcoin mining produces. So they themselves call it a guess. And I wouldn't, that's being generous.
Just so you know, I'm a large holder in Luxfolio. I have to preference this. One of the largest holders in Luxfolio. And
You still got your Luxfolio?
I'm not going away.
Yeah, you might as well ride that one out.
Like, yeah, I bought it at 21. It's at 7. I mean it's at 6 right now. So it doesn't matter.
Alex
But
is saying
here, wait, before we move
ahead.
on from Marathon and Bitfarms, because I gotta pick on Bitfarms. Why are BlackRock and Vanguard staying out of Marathon? I mean, out of Bitfarms.
I think
They're
that,
not in any Canadian miners, I was told, right?
I think the only two miners they're in are Marathon and Riot. They may have added some others at this point. They have ignored the Canadian miners, and
So they're not in Stronghold?
I don't believe so. I'm almost positive they're not. You can check.
I'm gonna check. So
They like.
the greenest miner is probably Stronghold. Would we agree or no?
Well, it's funny because yes, I would agree that that's the greenest miner, but they don't have the lowest carbon emissions. But what they're doing is very green. It's a unique. They're the only ones in the world doing what they're doing, and it's helping the environment in a tangible way, not just.
So they're in.
Carbon
Just so
emissions.
you know, they're BlackRock and Vanguard are in Stronghold. They just have a small. They got 3.5%, and then less than 1%. But if I was a betting man and I'm making a prediction that they're going to move into this a lot heavier if they haven't already.
They don't like to move into these tiny stocks. So part of Bitfarms' problem, Bitfarms and
No. Stronghold. And I know it's this tiny thing, but they know the upside of it.
Well, and that has a very strong ESG argument if they can articulate it and make people understand what they're doing. But there's, Alex left a comment, ESG will not go away, and it's not going away. But I do think we're in a frenzied, panicked state about it, and it's not defined right now. It's got to be better defined, and we can't just judge everybody and say, ESG, you're bad. It's like, okay, well, why? What?
ESG will go away, by the way.
You think ESG will blow over and that this is a...
After the collapse, yep.
After the collapse that you're predicting?
After, was it with Terminator? Yes, you're right. BlackRock has, what? They own 55%?
Of what?
Of Cleanspark?
No.
Out 55.28%. They have shares. There's almost 3 million shares.
Yeah.
Vanguard, they have almost 2 million shares.
Well,
so I guess that's
40 or 50 million shares of.
That's insane,
Cleanspark.
though.
Yeah, they have a nice position in that.
Oh my goodness,
So,
they have. Well, I guess they believe in Cleanspark. So what has to happen is Ben needs to market to Vanguard. I mean, I guess he can't legally, right? Or can he? Vanguard and BlackRock.
I mean, he can't market, but what he can do is educate. All these Bitcoin miners need to be, and I know they're trying, and it's hard, and it is a losing battle because you guys know, like, the world has lined up and just decided, oh, Bitcoin bad for the environment. Like, there's no actual thought process beyond that. So, in speaking with Ben at Bitfarms, like, they're prior to going into Argentina, which is now just a tiny, tiny fraction of what they do, they were 100% hydro. So, like, 100% hydro in areas that there was no economy and they weren't even using that hydropower. So they're not even taking the hydropower away from something else. It's like, it's the most green thing you could possibly do. And as far as ESG goes, everybody's got to remember there's an S and a G. So, when they come and revitalize a whole town like that is ESG. Or it's supposed to be, but, that's not how it's treated anymore.
So here, you guys want to really know what I think is going to happen with ESG? I think they're going to try to set up a two-tier system. I think you're going to have the normal quote unquote market is going to be ESG, and then I think they're going to make a whole nother index and have a non-ESG funding platform. Well, how
What
that shakes out, I don't know yet.
you mean, like the Dow, the Nasdaq,
Yeah,
and the
yeah, yeah.
non-ESG?
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Yep.
That's harsh. I don't
It's
know.
harsh. It's harsh, but I can see stuff like that happening.
They got to gain some credibility then, because right now they're just screaming three letters. They're not defining it, and they're not even applying it properly at all. Like, how does ExxonMobil have a good ESG score?
I can tell you how.
Yeah, who'd they pay?
Tom,
That's not an
it's a
accusation.
complicated,
That's a question.
Tom, it's a complicated understanding.
It's a very
You can't
complicated
just
formula.
think and look at it and think that oil from ExxonMobil, they've got a lot of technology, a lot of advancements.
Right, and then Alex is saying you buy carbon credits, but now they're trying to say, oh, carbon credits don't count. They're garbage. It's like, we need to do an audit on your carbon credits. So, like, there's no end.
52-week low. That's crazy.
A lot of things are at their 52-week low right now. Today we had some new things go to their 52-week low. Some things, I'm just going to talk about the board for a minute, because we haven't even talked about the carnage that was today's trading. Not so much for Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I thought, held up very strong compared to what the market did today. But the Bitcoin miners, so this is... going to leave a 4-hour Bitcoin. So you can see, like, Bitcoin, you can't complain about this. This is weeks and weeks and weeks of Bitcoin holding very strong. But the market got crushed. The market was down. S&P was down 2.8. Dow was down 2.1. Nasdaq was down 3.8. And Russell down 2.87. So those are big, big moves to the downside. And the only thing worse than that was the Bitcoin miners. Argo had something in specific happen. Two things that they did, which were I was a little bit shocked by. They're down 23%, and I thought it should have been worse than that. So they got wrecked today. TeraWolf is down 23% on no news. They're just down to a new all-time low, down 23%. Cypher hit their new all-time low today. They're down 10%. A lot of companies are. I think there's as many as 10 of these Bitcoin miners that are now at their 52-week or all-time low. 3 or 4 of which just got there today. So, buying opportunity?
Question mark? I mean, it's so tempted. I mean, trust me, I look at this and I'm like, you know?
The critical thing is, for me, I'm having a hard time. You know, I've been taking buying opportunities for like 10 months now, as you guys know if you watch the channel and the videos. I'm starting to get into a situation where, like, okay, Bitfarms hit $1.01 again today. Okay, but that's the 5th time it's done that. To me, it's not a buying opportunity at that number anymore. I already bought 3 times at that number. So I'm not going to, I can't buy. What if it hits that number 20 more times? I'm waiting for a lower low before I add to my biggest positions. And then the positions that I want to add to, I'm not going to add to Riot. Riot, even after it was down 8% today, it's still up like 70% from its lows on the summer. So I'm not buying Riot up 70%. And it depends what your cost basis is and your time frame and what size you already have invested in it, obviously. But I've already got a pretty full position in that. So I'm not adding to that up 70% off of its lows from the summer. So it's hard.
Hey, Wisdom Bites. Maybe there's a hidden message there about the dark side of the moon. You ever wonder if maybe we're trying to tell you something without telling you something? Just saying. Just saying. Sorry.
What is this in response to a?
Yeah, it says, just notice your Pink Floyd album at the back of your room instead of The Dark Side of the Moon. One of my faves albums. Great taste, Tom.
Classic album. I got.
Yeah, Alex, not buying till we see a strong multi-day bull run. Bull action. Oh my God.
So you're gonna wait. You're gonna wait for some momentum. So, I'm waiting for one or the other. If there's big momentum to the downside, listen, if CleanSpark gets to, I'm not buying it again at $3. That's the same thing. CleanSpark keeps getting down to $3. So, you know what?
Everybody, just so you know, I'm creating a company to sell you carbon credits. Hopefully I can announce that next week. Carbon credits.
Carbon credits for sale.
I'm going to start planting trees. I think it takes 10,000 carbon credits to plant one tree.
No.
For 99 cents. And each carbon credit will be, I'll give them to you for a nickel.
I think we might have to do a little more legwork on the details of this.
Alex, can ask about, is that Volta? VLTA?
Volta has been absolutely destroyed, and I will tell you, it's mystifying to me.
Tech, hang on, we missed somebody. I'm sorry, Tech. Next Level Tech, I guess was who it is. You're there. The hard questions, it's hard for us to answer. Just we're not smart people.
Did we miss a
NASDAQ
question?
is talking about a crypto platform. Did you hear about this, Tom?
No.
You didn't hear about it? Well, Tom doesn't even know about it.
NASDAQ?
Yeah. I can't share a rumor. Just remember there's a Plan X out there, and you guys know what that's together. Just think about Twitter, Plan X. Is there any coin associated to Plan X? Anyone? Bueller? Anyone? Bueller? I think that there's definitely some. That's why crypto and blockchain so amazing, is what it does, and that's what everybody forgets. It is definitely a technology switch.
And we're still in phase 0 of this whole thing. There's so much more. The only thing that's ahead in this whole thing is more and more clarification, because we have none. Right now they've found a way to create more and more confusion. So as time goes by and as things unfold, we're going to get some clarification. And we're going to get, don't forget, we're going to get a Bitcoin ETF at some point. So that's, they've pushed that off to the point where people aren't even thinking about it anymore. But there's several companies that are not going to take no for an answer. That they're going to have a Bitcoin ETF. There will be multiple ones in the United States ultimately. I just don't know when.
Is that why you're saying 30,000 by the end of the year? Because you think that who's the name of those people that's going to switch it over to their ETF?
I don't think Grayscale. I don't think that's going to happen by the end of the year. I just think we're going to get a natural relief rally. This is just the cycle of things. It's just emotion. We're going to get an emotional relief rally somewhere here, just because that's what happens. And you can see we are not trading on the fundamentals. If you look at all the indexes and all the markets, it's haywire. But inside of that, there have been massive opportunities all year to the upside and then to the downside. If you can see the end of a rally coming, you can play it the other way as well. And the last rally was great because it was like the most obvious bottom to top to bottom ever. So, you don't get that all the time. Barry saying Grayscale added Matic to one of their funds today, so that's good. That's big for Polygon. So that's one that I like. Alex is saying regulations need to come first. And with Volta, yeah, they have 10% layoffs. The thing is, they are going to be very, very heavily subsidized by federal and state governments. And
Who is?
Volta. Volta is an EV charging station, and they're different than the rest of them because they're also a multimedia advertising company. So essentially, they're a billboard, if you will, on their charging station, and so that's a lot of the revenue source there as well. So it's a little bit of a different company, but to me, there's only 4 companies out there putting in EV stations in any meaningful way, and Volta's one of them. So they're not going to fail, in my opinion. I think the chances of that are low. I feel like they're oversold beyond belief. That doesn't, who knows when the bottom is. I did not think they were going to get this low, but I took an opportunity. I did a video and said I feel like the risk profile, probably a month and a half or 2 months ago, I said the risk profile on Volta has changed drastically. I'm worried about it. A little bit after that, it had a huge run up, and I sold it because I think I sold it in the $2.30 or $2.40 range, and that's that relief rally I'm talking about. Those kind of things, like it's got no business where it is right now, and it had no business at $2.40, but those are the moments of opportunity. And I'm not a trader, so it's not like I'm in and out of stocks all the time. I just know that one they have clearly zeroed in on, and they were crushing it. So, it got caught up in the tidal wave. When there's a relief rally, all, high tide rises all boats, or whatever the saying is. So, they got the benefit of that.
I think a rising ocean is bad for the people that live on the ocean.
All right, global warming. ESG.
Did you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Can you believe? So I was up in a place called Cape Coral. I don't know if anybody knows where Cape Coral is, but Cape Coral's above Fort Myers. So Fort Myers on one side of the river, Cape Coral's on the other side of the river.
So Southwest Florida.
Southwest Florida, right? So they had literally over 150 electric lines snapped in half. The poles, the power poles, snapped in half. And they just put power back on for these guys. I cannot. That's absolutely amazing. So they said Sunday, and they beat it and have it up today. I mean, I can't even begin to know how much work that was. That is just insane.
Those guys, they should get a lot of credit. They're a machine. And it's from experience. This is not Florida's first hurricane.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I am totally impressed. Uh-oh, Seth is giving us information.
On the chat, I can't.
No, it's on your email.
I'm trying to. Oh.
Uh-oh,
man,
22 is about to repeat the kiss of death pattern for the SPX.
Uh-oh.
Kiss of death. I think, dude, I think the kiss of death is coming. What is that? Is that with tongue, Seth? Is it with tongue the kiss of death? I don't know.
I mean, this is a classic example. Like, here.
Oh, you do? Alex, did you get any damage? So I own emergencywaterremoval.com, and all we've been doing is setting equipment. It's just insane.
Hey, Jeff, welcome.
Let's go Mets. Jeff. Let's go Braves is I think what you meant to say. Let's go Braves. We're gonna be one of the only teams that do a 2P for that pennant. Sorry, this is baseball talk. Oil dip is the best sector to buy on the dip of energy.
I feel like, and it's another one I don't want to chase because, I'll just pull up one of the main ones. Here, ExxonMobil's back over $100. So there was a buying opportunity big time in this not too long ago. This was at $83. What's that, 2 weeks ago? So, I mean...
What are you from, Toronto? I've never met anybody that likes the Blue Jays. Tech.
Let's go Blue Jays.
Oil was at 80 and it's like 94 right now, by the way. I think oil's a great buy right now, personally. I think it's going to go. Just remember, I always say this to Tom, and I think I said it. I think the number's 133. If it hits 133, which I think it can, I think it's all over with. I think that's when we have Armageddon financially. That's the magic number. For some reason, that's when it crashed last. I crashed the market last time.
That seems to be a stress point. It's topped out there a couple of times, and it's not hard to imagine that it's going to run back there right now. I mean, oil was up 5.4% today. That is a monster move to the upside when everyone in the world is sitting there trying to tell us, oh, the demand for oil is down. It doesn't matter that OPEC's reducing their supply, blah, 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 blah. It's like sometimes you just got to go with the obvious.
Tack, I went to that stadium, the Blue Jay Stadium, and watched the game. That freaking place is awesome. I don't know. I think it was it. I don't know. It was some like restaurant right there. We had so much fun. That was awesome. And I won't. My wife's not watching, so I can tell you I love French Canadian women. Shh, don't tell her though.
Wisdom's asking me, would you buy Mawson now that they have raised 40 million, including the 11 million shares in CleanSpark? So I almost bought them this morning, and I missed my window. They were down, and everything kept getting more red and more red, so I thought they were going to keep going down, which every single other Bitcoin miner did, but they just turned around on a dime this morning, and they went from down 12% to up 3 or 4%. So I think this morning, an hour into the market opening, was like the absolute bottom for Mawson.
And I disagree. Just so you know.
You know what their market cap is right now? It's insanity.
What is it? Can I buy them?
Well, it's not that small, but
okay. Well then, it's just.
But it's small.
That's okay. It's got room to go down, down, down.
Well, everything can always get worse, but I was pretty shocked this morning when it was already. It's down. It was down by the end of this morning. Was down 70% from its all-time low this summer. Which at that point it was down 90-something%. So it was down another 70% on top of the 90-something%. So
I'm thinking like 95, 96%.
So at some point, it's like, some point's got to be the bottom.
Michael, there you go. Braves will win another World Series. Dedicated person. I think so too. Tex only bought puts. So what I did was, a few weeks ago, I got into, I bought like, I don't know, a lot of Bitfarms. And I said, okay, I'm going to play this 133. It shot up to like 139. I was like, I better get out now. And I sold it for 125. So I lost the money that I made earlier, like 2 weeks earlier. So I'm back down to the bad point. I'm down a high 6 figures for the year, just so you know.
You're not alone. I mean, this has been a brutal 2022. And
the whole reason we started doing this, and I told this to Tom, is that because I've never, and I'm going to be honest with you, I've never made money in the stock market. Something always happens, and I always lose.
So is it fair to say that this downturn in the market is a result of you starting to?
Yes. I need to get. I've been out though for a long time, so
yeah,
I'm just
that's
waiting.
True. You did jump on the sidelines. You're actually not down anywhere near what you would have been had you not jumped out. So now the key is jumping back in at the right time.
Well, and I'm going to keep jumping in and jumping out a little bit because I just think that in order to do the reset or the monetary policy changes that we have in store, is that there's got to be little things that happen. And this is just one of those things. You know? Does that make sense what I mean by little things? Little things is like stealing everybody's money. You know, Robinhood. Taking from the poor to give to the rich. Oh wait, I think it's the other way around. No, that's not
what they did. Are you talking about the app or the
yeah, Robinhood, the app. Death Cross.
So I want to just take a moment and thank everybody that is joined up and is a member of the channel. So in addition to being a subscriber, you can be a member by hitting the join button. And then if you're using an Apple product, there's directions on how to join, because for whatever reason their interface doesn't show the join button, but we put directions in the videos. So anybody who wants to, you can join the channel. I wanted to just take a minute and thank everybody. A bunch of you guys are on the live stream right now. We do a separate live stream for members only once a week, and I'm going to be getting more and more additional content out for members only. So feel free to support the channel if you are so inclined to do so. And
ooh, I stink, dude.
remember to hit the like button, please.
You should have seen Tom. So we have this friend who's 6 foot. Is he 6 or 7 or 8? What is he? 6'7"?
Well, he used to be 6'8".
Yeah, I think he's 6'7". He's a big guy, dude. He worked his, you know what's off, and now he's chilling. Tom, you sleep? No, he's not asleep. He's asleep. And then it's usually 2 hours to get to freaking Tampa, and then it's just traffic. It's just been brutal.
Listen, we got a lot of tall people for some reason in our world. When I go visit George is very tall. His brother's like 6'7". His brother's son is 7 feet 1 inches. It's like, and then obviously, you know, me and George and another person, Tom, we've been good friends since childhood. So they're both, you know, I'm 6'2", and I feel super short all the time.
Nobody likes us, so that's why we stayed friends. Just so you guys know, no one did. No one. And girls hate me, by the way.
Oh yeah, sure. They've always hated George.
They hate me. Hey. Uh-oh.
The stock market has always rebounded and put in new highs. Patience, grasshopper. Yes, that is exactly right, Alex. And it always feels like this when it's down. It always feels there's desperation. I mean, that is just a part of the process. That you've got to go through the desperation, capitulation, and then you get to the other side. So all too many people, even today, right? All these stocks hit a new all-time low. What's that mean? Everybody, all the retail investors were selling all the Bitcoin mining companies today. So wherever they bought them, great job. They just sold them at their all-time low. Now, if you think Bitcoin's going to zero and they're all going to fail, then that was a good decision. But if you're, you know, if you have a longer-term picture than that and you think things are going to recover and this is just another cycle, then yeah, now's the time to be adding. I will say,
but what if you think, Tom, that this is the last merry-go-round, and you think that stock market's going back down to 1990 levels? If you think that? If you
think that, then my philosophy is that's like, you know, that's like planning what are you going to do in the case of you know, if the world blows up. It's like you're not going to do anything because it's over. So, you know.
Oh, you think that if the stock market goes back to 1990 levels, it's over with?
Oh, yeah, our economy's gone.
Why? Why? What do you explain,
you know where the
please?
Market was at in 1990?
Like 9,000 some odd, 9,000 something.
Yeah, you're talking about 6,000, 7,000, 8,000.
No, I'm saying it was. I think it was right around 9,000, just under 10,000.
So if we get back down to that point, that will be that's going to put what happened to the stock market in the Great Depression to shame. That's going to look like just a little blip on the radar.
So how far did it go down in the Great Depression?
We can look, but nothing like that. And remember, now the magnitude of the market is probably 1 million times bigger than it was in 1929. So you've got to factor that in as well, right? With the derivative products and everything that's in the market, if the market crashes like that, that means we lost like probably $80 trillion
Don't worry,
in wealth. And this world can't afford that.
So, but here's my question. What happens if that happens? Do all banks close? Does everybody go out? Does it go out of business? I mean,
That's why I don't think it can happen, because there's safeguards in place. They'll print money before they let that happen, and then you go, well, inflation
but
will
at
happen.
what point in time is it done? I mean, at what point in time can you? I'm serious. This is a real serious question, because I don't agree with your analysis. I just don't, and I'm just trying to understand what happens if, okay, this day we lose 20%, and then this day we lose 20%, and then this day we lose 20%, or 15%, or 8% over a period of 21 days.
Well, the market could always pull back 8 or 10%. That's something that's
No, per day.
per day. No,
Yeah, for 21 days. You're saying that could never happen.
that will not happen. You will not see that in your lifetime. You will, if you do, the U.S. will be gone. So I don't know what else. I don't know what the rest of the world.
But why do you say the U.S. will be gone? Why do you say that statement?
All of our we will be so bankrupt. We will be so hopelessly bankrupt at that point that every person will be bankrupt.
But aren't we already?
No, because everybody, remember, all the people that live here, there's 300 million people that live here with 401ks, et cetera, et cetera. If that gets wiped out, then you're decimating the entire wealth of, a great percentage of this country's wealth, and in every country, is in two places. It's in real estate and it's in the market. And people think real estate's a lot bigger than the market, but with the derivative products, the market is unfathomably large.
I can't say it either. So you say what is the biggest from now until the end of November? What do you think the biggest correction can be percentage-wise?
I mean, I think if we went down 20% between now and then, that would be worse than the 2008 crisis. And I'm not saying that can't happen. That could happen.
But you're just saying that it's not going to go down much more than that.
Right. That's right. It's not going to go down another 70% from here, or it's, things fall apart between now and then. So, and obviously anything can happen. So, I can't say that for absolute universal fact. But let's put it this way. With the market crash that we had in 2008, literally every bank in this country failed. So I don't even know if people know that, but every bank in this country failed. The Federal Reserve opened the window and said there's now infinite cash. The banks are not out of business. Every bank stock was trading as a penny stock. So that was with just the 2008 crisis. Make something 5 times worse than that? Where are we? What do you guys think? Great Depression, I believe 86%. So down 86%, it looks like somebody is saying. Gary is saying. or a well-performing Bitcoin miner in 2022.
Well,
down
so
86%.
Here's my question. So what if people, just hear this crazy analogy out, okay? So what if the market, let's just say, split in half, and people that knew went into Bitcoin, and Bitcoin went up to 250?
So you're saying the market crashes, but Bitcoin runs up?
Correct. Because that is the theory that I have in my head.
The reason that would still be an absolute total disaster is Bitcoin's market cap is less than 1/1000th of the stock market. So if the stock market gets cut in half and Bitcoin doubles, the net total of that is still basically everything got cut in half. Bitcoin would have to, 100x to even start to put a dent in making up for a 50% correction in the stock market. Because it's a very small asset still at this point. I mean, the whole entire crypto universe is less than $1 trillion. And that's going to change. You know, that's the bull argument on Bitcoin. It's going to, you know, it'll get to the point where someday it's worth what gold is. Gold is worth 10 or 11 trillion dollars. You know,
So what would it be worth if it went to 225? Let's just say Bitcoin went to 225.
well, that'd be
Times 21 million?
Yeah, that'd be a 10. Well, that'd be a 10x from here. And what's it worth right now? 400?
Hang on. It is worth...
So Bitcoin's worth $374 billion right now. So if it 10x'd and went to $200,000, it would be worth $3.7 billion. Let's put it this way. Apple was worth that
No,
by
3.7 trillion. Trillion.
Sorry, yeah, trillion. So that's what Apple was worth last year.
So you don't think that analogy is plausible at all?
It's just
land.
It's just so unequal. You know what I'm saying? It's like one thing. It's like,
So
you
how
get
much,
a grain of sand and you get a beach.
So here's the next question. How much, if the market goes down 50%, what amount of money is that economically?
If the market goes down 50%, I mean, nobody knows the exact number because there's so many derivative products in the market.
No. Just the actual market, whatever the Dow is made up.
Well, BlackRock alone is in charge of $11 trillion.
Right.
So, you know, just they would lose $6 trillion in that scenario.
Well, no, I don't think that's true at all, but okay. I think they're moving to Bitcoin. I think they're moving in as we speak if they aren't already in
even
it.
if they move into Bitcoin, if they own 100% of Bitcoin, it's still not even going to be worth half the amount of money they lost in the stock market. That's what I'm saying.
By the way, I'm setting you up for something, and you just don't realize how I'm setting you up. And I hope somebody else understands how I'm setting them up. Does anybody understand? This is a deep conversation. I think it can probably only go down 30% from here right now.
Alex, you're thinking it's going to go down 50% from here?
Down from here. Land.
You need to own land. I mean, real estate, and real estate's about to go into a tough cycle, but that's another. You got to look long-term, big picture. That's a key investment.
Hang on a second. Hang on. I wish we should go back and watch the stream, but I hope the person that I saved $50 billion from losing on Apple is on this stream so he can say, George was right. I can't believe it. I'm saying 50%. What I'm doing, I'm not saying that I think it's going down another 50% right now. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that at the beginning of the year, I called it going down 30%. I've already called this. This is what I anticipated right now.
And the Nasdaq's already taken that out.
Right.
So
but I'm not sure where we go from here. I think there's a lot of things riding on the midterms.
So what
I mean,
what Alex is asking is, are you saying it's going to go down 50% from here?
No,
or 50%
total. So another 20% now.
Yeah, see, I could be on board with.
Okay.
I don't think that's going to happen, but that is not off the table at all.
Well, here's the reason what I was trying to set you up for, and maybe you got it, I don't know, is to realize what the upside of Bitcoin really is. Because what you just said, Bitcoin could actually be, if that scenario does happen and the market goes down 50% right now, then you're looking at a Bitcoin around 400,000 to 500,000 per share, per coin. Sorry. Don't you agree with that?
Oh yeah, that's the scenario where Bitcoin can 20x or 50x or
yeah.
I mean, listen, Kathy Woods has not moved an inch. She said it's going to 1 million by 2030, and she thinks that's at the absolute latest.
Right, but what she's not telling you, and this is what I don't think people understand, is I think it's going there, but I think that the financial markets are going to be taken out before it goes there.
Well, are you thinking it's a zero net sum game, and you know Bitcoin can't 10x if
Correct.
the market stays the way it is or keeps raging.
Correct. Yep.
All right, so that'll be an interesting thing to see. Does the increase in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency start to eat into
Absolutely.
and that's going to be because right now Bitcoin has spent a year moving along side by side with the Nasdaq, but I've been arguing the last 3 or 4 weeks. I think we're starting to see that crack, and we're starting to see the separation. So that will go to your point.
And to answer you, you could be right, and I could be wrong. And the thing is that's going to determine that is going to be this election.
The midterms.
Yes, I think if the midterm, and I'm not saying which way it should go or what I think it should go, and it's just a feeling, but I think if the midterms don't go the way that people want them to go, then I think that we're going to be in a world of trouble.
Wow.
And then we're going to see the 30%.
Unfortunately, I feel like no matter which way they go, somewhere around half the people aren't going to be.
Well, that's because half the people are stupid. And I'm not saying which way I'm going on that. They would keep printing more money. At one point in time, do they turn off printing money?
What?
Is there a point in time?
Here's the question I would ask you. And remember, I've been saying this for 20 years. The reason we can keep printing money, look what's happened. We just printed more money. I mean, we just printed a historic, shocking amount of money in the last 3 years. And the dollar is now the strongest it's ever been. So this economic theory that should play out, that should be causing, the dollar to be devalued. It should be causing hyperinflation. But it's all relative. If that's happening to the whole world, which unfortunately it is, then it's, everybody's staying relative to each other. The dollar's actually getting stronger. So that's why I think the Fed will. I do think very strongly. I think the Fed, they're going to raise rates. They got to get them up to 5%. They don't want them there, but they got to get them there. And they got to get them there because when the housing market crashes, they're going to need to spend 3 years lowering rates 1/4 point every single meeting they have. And they need that tool in the bag. So in my opinion, that's why they're going to get the rates up. And then from there, you're going to see them stop raising rates. And in my opinion, immediately they're going to switch to quantitative easing. Already, the UK has done that. So, and the United Nations and the nations of the world are begging the United States to do that right now. So they're going to wait. We're not going to do it just yet, but it is coming, in my opinion.
Say that again, Tom. I'm sorry. I was reading something from a customer.
I think that quantitative easing, I think we're going to start printing money again, sometime around the end of the year, beginning of next year.
Look at that. Alex agrees with me. I think we're just at a point right now where we have to turn off the money printing supply machine. We have to start. I'm with Elon Musk. We got to start drill, baby, drill, and we have to turn back some of these nuclear power plants back on.
We need a new energy policy.
Our whole energy policy is, what is it? It's a magic 8-ball. Shake it. Ask again later.
Forget politics. We know the energy situation is just in a worse place by far today than it was 2 years ago, and we need to change. And it's not just the United States that needs to change its energy policy. A lot of countries need to change their energy policy. A lot of them are already doing it, so out of necessity. And I hope they can do enough in time, because people at some point people will start to suffer if they can't produce enough energy.
Yeah, and you don't think that.
And I'm not talking about suffer like, oh man, it's a lot of money. I'm talking about suffering. So we want to avoid that at all
suffrage.
costs.
I think it's called suffrage.
That's something else, totally different.
But You don't think? I won't say anything. It's a nice day out, Tom. Sun's out, beautiful day.
I
Couldn't be
think
any better.
I think one way or the other, our energy policy is going to evolve, because you've even got people like Elon Musk saying, "Listen, guys, we need to use oil. That's just a part of the equation. It's simple math. We don't. Our grid just cannot exist without it. The United States grid is it can't. There's big parts of the grid that can't handle the load right now, and we're trying to add to the load with EV. You know, if we converted every car to an EV, that's going to put a monumental strain on the grid, and most of it'll be at failure. So, you know, we've got to change. We got to improve the grid. We've got to modernize the grid, but it's not just through new forms of energy. We can't, unfortunately, fossil fuel is a part of our existence. And yeah, we want to reduce it, but we got to walk before we run. Or, you know, there's going to be, like I said, you know, the flip side of this is some major pain, suffering, famine. I mean, you do not want to see those scenarios. Barry's saying there will be more money printing soon. So I agree with you, Barry. And Alex is saying, Alex is calling for 100x on Bitcoin. So he's saying, I agree, George. You only have 17 million Bitcoin with a max of 21 million, high demand with low supply. Price has to 100 plus X. So I think, yeah, that's the 5 to 10 year argument for Bitcoin. And we are in the middle of, you know, one of these periods. And this is the third or fourth one with Bitcoin where there's pain. And we're knee deep in it right now. And you know, when you get to these points in the cycle, it just seems like desperation. But I agree, Alex. There's no that math hasn't changed, and that math is never right. There's 21 million Bitcoin, and you know, I think you're accounting that maybe 4 million are lost, and I'm going to say at least 4 million are lost. And the thing is, from now until the end of time, every time one gets lost, it's gone forever. So,
unless we could figure out that it's lost and somehow
no, there's no, it's you, if it's lost, we don't even know which ones are lost, but that's it. Like,
I'm gonna go with
gone.
It's probably the 80-20 rule. 4,200,000 are lost, if I had to give you my honest opinion. What is so amazing is how much the 80-20 rule holds up on everything. Like the voting, probably 80% of it was legit. Sorry.
Oh boy, Barry said, if you do t-shirt merchandise, can we have a funny high vis suitable for construction site?
I don't know. What are you thinking, Barry?
Yeah, elaborate.
I just, you know, I'm starting to become a Bitcoin purist, just so you guys know.
Aha!
I actually am. I understand though XRP, because XRP is really not a true coin per se like the other coins.
XRP does act in a different way than all other coins.
Right.
It's not proof of work or proof of stake.
That's why I like it so much. It's different. And so, different is good.
I feel like you can be a Bitcoin purist and still like XRP. But you can't like Ethereum and be a Bitcoin purist.
I'll tell you right now, I do not like Ethereum. No, I do not like Ethereum. I do not like Ethereum. I do not like Ethereum.
Jeff said Bitcoin for life. That's right. We're in this. That's, you know, hopefully it doesn't take a lifetime, but Bitcoin.
I think I know what they're doing with Ethereum, by the way, and I ain't saying.
Oh, you're not. This is one of the. This is a George moment on the stream.
I ain't saying, but they have a nice plan for Ethereum. Just remember, what is it? 2 people control 41% of the validators? 2 companies?
It's not the validators.
It's the, what is it called?
There's the other side of the validators. And I can't remember what they're calling them, but there's the people who essentially send the transaction to the validators. So they get 1/8 of
the fee?
Yes. And they dictate the flow of that activity. So, you know, most people say, "Oh, that's just a conspiracy theory. Everything's going to be fine." But you're right. That's a group that is totally undefined in my mind, and it could be a very small group of people. Lost memory is a terrible thing to lose, said Alex.
Dude, you want to hear something crazy?
Sure.
And just so you guys, you understand this. This is a area that was completely underwater. And I'm sorry, but the FEMA insurance is saying that even though it's underwater, it's not necessary to pull the drywall, the baseboards, even though it was underwater, to take out the insulation that's in the wall in that seal plate.
And the house was underwater. Yeah, I mean, that's...
Right. I went to a hotel today that we signed. Okay, listen to this, guys. I went to a hotel. The flood was over a week ago. I said, "Watch this." Punch a hole in the wall. Did it with my bare knuckles. Punched a hole in the wall. Reached in, grabbed the thin insulation, and wringed it out like a sponge. And the water went. They're like, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "Nope." Is that not amazing? A week later, and it's still saturated.
And they know, and you know, the business owners or homeowners might not know that, but the insurance company knows what water does. I mean,
yeah. Well, and I was just reading what she said. She just went back to me and said, what was it? She said that the, oh, hang on. The flood insurance justice has come to the opinion that the drying of this property is not necessary. I would like to ask you whether you could please tear out the baseboard of this product in order for the adjuster to come and have a second look. These guys are obviously out of their ever alive mind. This house was underwater by 6 inches.
Well, you know what they're doing.
Freaking what scumbags. They're German, that's why.
Oh boy.
They're German. They're over in Germany.
This does not reflect the opinions of this network.
What are you talking about? Oh, you?
Uh-huh.
Well, they know who lives here and who doesn't. It's gonna, man, I just didn't know it's gonna be a fight for every dollar for these people. We're gonna have to get freaking lawyers and public adjusters, and they're gonna make this so impossible for these people because they're gonna go out of business. That's why. Oh, Tom can do that. Do you want to explain why XRP is so good?
Yeah,
One George to another. You should have said that, right?
Yes, but can I just catch up on a couple of these? Because
yes, hang on. We'll get back to you, George. I love your name, George. I just like saying it, George.
So Barry's saying the T-shirt should say, "I only work construction for the exercise and the whining. My real job is watching YouTube." So I like that one a lot.
Ooh, what? His job's watching YouTube?
I only work construction for the exercise and the whining. My real job is watching YouTube.
Well, this guy's real close.
This is for the merch.
No, my real job. I should do that, dude. I should do that as I was like ripping drywall out today, setting equipment, sweating.
Yeah, you can put that on the back of the emergency water removal shirts.
Bitcoin's going to the moon. XRP. Okay, do you want me to explain XRP?
Go ahead. I'm just trying to catch up because I know we missed some. I think we missed some comments, and they disappear off of my screen.
So XRP is a way to move money. Do you know there's a thing called the SWIFT system, which is it's still operating, but just at a limited thing. So when you want to transfer money from, let's say, one brand, so there's 7. Sorry, I'm going to give you the technical answer, and you can tell me to shut up at any point in time. So is there 7 Federal Reserve systems? In reserve, there's like the Northeast.
There's 7 in the United States.
7 in the United States, and then each country has their own routing number, so to speak. It's not. It's called a SWIFT code, and then you can route money to these other countries. And XRP has made it so it can seamlessly send money through the XRP network. So, for an example, you would buy XRP, and then they would accept it in, let's just say, Brazil.
So the XRP blockchain is run by the banks, essentially, to put it in probably overly simplified terms.
Oh, and I totally disagree that Swift isn't going anywhere. Swift is outdated, and it's going bye-bye because XRP moves in seconds. It's amazing, by the way. Go ahead, sorry.
The Pareto principle, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, also known as the 80-20 rule, which George likes to cite, is a theory maintaining that 80% of the output from a given situation or system is determined by 20% of the input.
Correct. That is the technical.
That is from Alex.
That is technically what it is, but you can always apply 80-20 in different scenarios. It applies cross board, I believe, in almost everything. For example, if you take and count votes, so you have 100% of the votes, 80% of them are normally real, and 20% are fake.
I'm just not sure about that with the
I'm
votes.
not sure about that one either. But it applies to so many things. Like, for an example, a friend of mine, he's another accountant. He did a study on how many hours people really work in a week, in a 40-hour work week. And he used the 80-20 rule, and it came up to be exactly right. He said an average person that gets paid for 40 hours a week does not work 40 hours a week. They work around 30, 32 hours a week.
Just from a productivity standpoint.
For productivity. It's just amazing how it applies to almost everything. That's what's so crazy about it. So does that make sense? Like Seth probably doesn't work 40 hours a week.
I just want to respond. Michael and Jeff were having a little conversation. I just want to chime in real quickly. So this is Michael Anthony said, I had someone call me over the phone and told me that they would sell me any type of Bitcoin or token for half price. And Jeff is saying, Mike, that's not how this works. So it is important. I think most of you guys know this very well. There are scammers out there everywhere you turn. So you got to... That is not how this works. I mean, Bitcoin is sold every second of the day, and it's not sold over the phone at a discount. So please, everybody, be careful. Also, in the comments section, I go through and delete as many as I can, but there's so many people that pretend to be me that you're never going to see our account like asking you to go to Telegram or WhatsApp and give us money and those kind of things. So if the message is from me, how do I show this? There's a
Kirby. I'm with you, brother. We can call them out together.
Even if it has my little picture, the name will be Talkin' Investing, and it will be highlighted in gray. That means it's the real account. Anybody else that has a picture that's asking you for stuff is trying to scam you, and every channel deals with that on YouTube, unfortunately, and they don't seem to be doing anything about it. Maybe they can't do anything. I don't know. But it's a lot of scammers, so everybody be careful.
So Kirby says, unfortunately, all your calls have been wrong, Tom. I really like your channel, but in all honesty, we have all lost money.
Well, that is just factually incorrect. So...
Factually incorrect, Kirby.
And I'm going to show you why.
The market, we're putting them on the carpet, buddy.
The market's gone down, and so none of my picks have done well. But none of 90-something, a very high 90% of stocks are down. So yes, this is one of the worst bear markets we've ever had. So yes, stocks are going down. However, if you look at this arrow right here, I called every single day of this 2-month period. So for those who were watching the channel, and I put out a video every day, I called this run. I called the bottom. I called the middle. I called the top literally on the day, for each one of those. So on this day, I flipped bearish. On this day, I flipped bullish. So that's 2 full months. That's a big run. And then we got to play it all the way back down. And unfortunately, in a bear market, you can't point to a stock and say, you know, you said Hut 8 is great and they're not doing great. It's like, no stock is doing great. Every stock has been destroyed. Every high, you know, small cap, high growth stocks have been destroyed. So I'm sorry, Kirby, that you lost money, and I'm sure you did. And probably almost everybody listening to this live stream has, you know, unless you're a day trader, you've lost money. I mean, the market's gotten decimated. But, you know, you got to play the hand you're dealt.
So I want to jump in here for a second. Here's what I didn't realize about investing. You, especially this market, you have to be an active investor. What does that mean? An active investor is different for every single person. We made calls on certain things and then we flipped. I can remember when we made the call on any, and then somebody else said, you just saved me, what was that, $600,000 you got out of any? Something crazy like that.
Support.com, any, we've had several calls where people have literally said, thank you, you say, and you know, I'm not giving financial advice. I'm just telling you my opinions. But we've had several people say, you saved me my life savings.
Right.
And I appreciate it.
So with that being said, I never knew that Bitcoin became, no one knew what, what's his name? I forgot his name. Oh, jeez, BlackRock. Larry Fink was going to write a letter saying that ESG is the only way to invest in the future. By the way, no one knew that. I didn't know that. And this is why it sucks being down 80% of your money. And this is why they do it. They do it because they want your money and they want you miserable. And unfortunately, the strategy of cost averaging in is still the best strategy, not financial advice. Next thing is, I have been doing this with XRP. And XRP, I have an average of 31 cents right now. And that's because the Uphold wouldn't let me buy the amount that I wanted to buy. So I'd buy a certain amount of money every single week. And it's worked for me. So
they forced you to dollar cost average in, and that worked out. I just want to say, Barry just added, you did call Celsius too, and I also want to add, I called Voyager. I made 2 videos the week before they filed bankruptcy. You know, they were down after those 2 videos. Voyager was down 90% in the next few days. So I know, you know, not financial advice, but you know, anybody who watched my video and did their own due diligence, there were a bunch of people that reached out to me and said, thank you for the Voyager video. So I know, and I'm not saying I'm right, and, you know, listen, this is a brutal market.
Think one
Nobody's
of the things,
right.
Everybody should really watch our stream because usually whatever Tom says, I disagree with. No offense, Tom. And I think we do it in a nice, loving atmosphere, but I mean, I'm sorry, Bitcoin isn't done going to the bottom yet. I don't know if you guys think it is. Tom thinks it's already bottomed out. I personally still think that we're going to see single digits before we're all said and done with this little shakeout.
So, yeah, George thinks there's a lot more pain to come, and it's all time frame too. So George and I disagree on the time frame. George thinks we got a lot more pain to come, and we're going to go a lot lower. But from a long-term standpoint, I would say that you also think that Bitcoin is one of the great investments for the future.
Right, and that's the other thing. If you want to read a book called, what is it called? 21 Million Reasons Why I Love Bitcoin.
Everything divided
like
by 21 million.
That is a stupid-ass book, first of all. But I read that stupid book.
And you're recommending it to everybody.
No, it was just a very hard read, you know. It's like one of the only books I've read in my life. But what Bitcoin solves, Bitcoin makes voter fraud go away, by the way, if we want to use it for that. And I don't know if they will, but you can do fractional Bitcoins. And that is why it's so scary to the people. It's a decentralized platform. that people either you believe in the project or you don't. And part of the game of investing is to get it so you don't believe in the project and to kick you out. You know, I mean that's just the game. And some people was their testing point was 50%. Yours is 80%. And I feel you. I'm down in the six figures in my investing right now.
And
it hurts. It
throughout
sucks.
throughout the small cap high growth stocks, I'm talking about the stocks that are one step below the Russell 2000 level stocks. There's thousands of stocks that are down 90%. I mean, this has been a brutal market. There's just nobody's happy about it, and the best you can do is just try and make your way through it. So I never criticize anybody if they can't take the pain anymore and they get out. You also got to be able to sleep at night. So
that's why I got out, by the way, and I'm still on the sidelines.
And that's
But
valid.
I'm down. Hang on, how much am I down? I'm gonna tell you here in a second, guys. And I took out a mortgage for this money.
Alex, thank you. Alex said, your analysis is best in the business, Tom. Your CPA experience is huge knowledge that many of us do not have your depth or breadth. Thank you for sharing. Well, thank you very much, Alex. I appreciate it. I just try to,
65%.
I do my deep dives and I share what I learn. And, I've said many times, I don't know the future. I don't have a crystal ball.
Kirby,
the timing.
Kirby, I said to Tom, just so you know, I said, Tom, from now on, if you tell me to buy, I'm selling. Do you remember that time when I said that to you?
Yeah.
I said, whatever you decide to do, this is how the market is. And somebody said this to me relatively early on in the market. If you think it's going to go up, short it.
Well,
Does that make sense?
In the short term, a lot of times common sense and your gut are just absolutely wrong because those aren't the things driving the market, unfortunately. So,
and this year is the whole reason we started this channel was because of this year. We knew this was coming. We knew that was going to be a very difficult year of investing.
And that it has been.
Yeah.
Really,
this is how many years? What's this the worst year? How many years?
Well, from January 1st to June 30th, which was the first half of the year, it was the worst year in 52 years. So, that's a bad year.
Wow.
I'm not happy about it, because I'm more of a buy and hold. Yeah, I do a little bit of options, but I'm more of a buy and hold person. So, I'm not loving this.
And remember, too, hey, whoa, time out. Kirby, I just remembered something. I don't know how long you've been watching this channel, but I just remembered something huge. The Bitcoin went through the roof. It went to like 60, 58, 60. And I said, and Tom said, it might be a good time to take some profits right now, guys. Do you remember that, Tom?
We were pounding the table for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we were pounding the table.
Everything's overbought.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't know it was this overbought, but...
Yeah, this was much worse than I expected. There's no doubt. I mean, I think this was worse than anybody expected. Just look at every video and tweet for the last year and a half. October, November, December of 2021. This is not what people were thinking the future was. So, you get what you get. Now we got to just play it from here. Yeah, you guys can do a reverse Tom ETF. That's right. I'll be a reverse indicator. But then you're going to have to be a trader because you got to buy and sell.
Dude, this guy went up to Tampa for me. And he left at 2 o'clock and he's still not there. But I just tell you, I hate 75. What a pain in the ass. And these guys close at 6. I hope they don't close. That would freaking piss me off. Sorry.
I'm going to the 15-minute time frame. Let's just take a look at. We're all talking about Bitcoin. Let's see what's actually happening.
I gotta go after this, by the way.
Okay, yeah, we're starting to run long. So we just basically made up from this one candle right here. We had a huge dip, and we just spent all that time since then getting right back to where we started. But we're down big on the day, and it was before the market opened, and it was when the job numbers came out. So today was all about the job numbers. The job numbers were good, which unfortunately means bad things for the market, and that is what happened today. And just to sum up, I mean, we didn't really go through this whole list, but other than Mawson.
Oh, hang on. Time out. Thank
Fire
you. Alex, you just reminded me of something. When crypto was at $3.5 trillion, I said crypto was going to less than $1 trillion. Everybody, you all thought I was stupid, an idiot, a moron. And you all were, oh, he don't know what the hell he's talking about. And where is it right now? Hello? Do you remember that? I was adamant about it. I said, guys, they're coming for your money. Believe me, they're coming for your money. And now, I just had to say that, Tom. I remember that like yesterday.
Yes, you did. You called it
and
going down. It was
I was
somewhere
passionate.
$3 trillion, and you said $1 trillion.
I said it's going to less than $1 trillion, and you guys thought I was out of my mind. And I still think it's going to 500 billion.
You think it's going to get cut in half again?
I thought you were going George Buy. No, I'm going after this. Sorry. I'm staying till the end. Sorry, Tom.
Oh.
I just remember that, and I was like, you can't say that. That's just not true. You know what I mean?
Listen, everybody knows the investment deal, and, you know, there's good years
Oh,
and bad
Barry
years.
remembers. Thank you. And then we just called it 4 weeks ago, that we said Apple is going down $50 billion. And that guy said, you mean $50 billion Apple's going? I'm going to buy it. Oh, okay. Oh, it's still the moon thing. 2 days away, my friend. The moon's going to be full again. I'm just saying. Look at the album on the back of Tom's wall. Sorry.
We have never actually seen the dark side of the moon. So
Tom's frustrated. I got it, Tom. I'll just for clamps.
I'm sure everybody's very frustrated. It's been a rough year. Today was a killer day in the market. Today was horrendous for Bitcoin miners. So, you know, depending on, unless you happen to hold Mawson, today was a bad day in the market. That's just the way it is. And you know, it was pretty much across the board, unless you happen to own some oil and gas companies. Other than that, it was it's been rough going. So, you know, but we got everybody. Listen, everybody who's here on this live stream, I congratulate you. Regardless of whatever your level of frustration is, you've stuck with it. And that's the only way to get to the other side of this. I mean, it is the patience game. We've been talking about that all stream. And
this is the game. This isn't a patient. This is a fight to the death. Are you gonna hold on to your dollar? This is what, dude. They are coming for your money, and I am telling you, I'm more confident now in Bitcoin than I ever was before because of how they are destroying these Bitcoin miners. They are destroying it. They made it so it's no longer. They're making it so it's no longer profitable for mining Bitcoin. That's what they set out to do.
Well, and for a lot of these companies, you know, the cost per Bitcoin varies drastically amongst these Bitcoin miners. So there's a lot of companies that already, you know, right now they're just maybe just breaking even. And that's before, you know, overhead. So, you know, that you break even just getting the coin, you can't pay your bills. So it's tough. There's some of these companies that are, we didn't even talk about the fact, the biggest news today, in my opinion, was the fact that Argo Blockchain sold 4,000 Bitcoin miners. Not the S17s or old, they sold brand new ones for money because they are out of money. Oh,
I just thought of something else. I hope Kirby's still watching. Kirby, Do you want to know how much money? Who was it? Hang on a second. Was it Bitfarms? Bitfarms just lost, was it $65 million?
What?
Who was it that bought the miners that got scammed?
Oh, Stronghold.
Stronghold. Stronghold lost a deposit. Was it 65 million?
65 million bucks.
$65 million, okay? Because they got scammed out of it because they must have talked to that one guy named Bill, where these people said that they had the latest and greatest Bitcoin mining machines that never came to be. And that is real. That's not make-believe money. That was a real $65 million, by the way.
That
Real.
devastated their business.
Yes.
It's and that's a business that, you know, George has been doing some research on that he likes, and I love that company. I think they're going to
love
make it,
that company.
But they got wrecked by that.
They should be the face of Bitcoin mining. They should be the face of Bitcoin mining because what they are doing, if you guys don't know the story of Stronghold, you should go watch the video that he has up about what they're doing. They're taking and they're helping an area that has contaminated water because of this ash of this coal ash that is like a deposit from old coal, and there's like 23 million metric tons, 23 million metric tons of this stuff just sitting there, and when it rains it gets into the water, and this guy grew up there, and because of Bitcoin he has found a way to use the power to mine Bitcoin to clean up the environment. I think that's the most amazing thing ever.
It's a great story. What they're doing, to me, that's real ESG. That's making a tangible difference. There's going to be tens of thousands of acres of land that are going to be green, and they're going to be parks, and they're going to be roads, and instead of being what's technically right now toxic waste. By the way, there's about 90 to 100 fires that they self-combust at any given time. So, you know, you're getting that emissions going into the air. It's a disaster, and they're cleaning it up. So they're doing a good thing, but they did get scammed out of $65 million, and it has turned their business upside down, and it's destroyed their stock. But, you know, for me personally, you know, not financial advice, but I think they're going to make it, and I like that company.
Okay, I got to run, guys. I'd keep going all night, but...
All right, George, have a good weekend.
Appreciate everybody watching the channel.
I'm going to wrap up very shortly.
And thanks for everybody's input. See you, bye.
See you, George. Thanks.
Bye.
All right, I'm going to wrap up pretty soon as well. Barry said Bitfarms borrowed $100 million to buy Bitcoin and lost most of it, and that is 100% true. I mean, there's just no denying that. That was a misstep by Bitfarms, and it's like it's done. There's nothing. They're not getting that back. But the best they can do, they have managed to still. I mean, they're operationally, that's a company that operationally, in my opinion, and again, you can watch the interview. I just talked to Ben today. Operationally, they're killing it. But that that was financially brutal for them. So their stock, it shows in their stock. That's why they're trading at $1 because, and I think that's an overreaction. I think that's very oversold in my opinion. But that's the reason their balance sheet isn't. They could have had a very much more solid balance sheet if they wouldn't have gone through that little mess that they went through. Kirby said, I'm still here and losing money. Well, hopefully the market's closed now, Kirby. You get the weekend off, unless you're in crypto, and then I guess you can keep losing 24/7. So I hope you start making money. So Alex is saying it shows C-suite poor judgment, stock reflecting it, and I think that is totally true. But I also do think, mistakes happen. That was a very bad mistake. They did have it didn't put them out of business. and they do have some strong management operationally, right there. So they've got, yes, that was a gigantic misstep. That is a big strike against them, but I don't think it crosses them off the list forever. And I do think, you know, they've put out 7 operational reports since then, and I think they've been 7 for 7. They've been operationally doing very, very well. And you can only, I mean, I don't want to assume anything, but I'm guessing however mad we are as investors, they've lost a lot of sleep over making that decision, and that was just brutal for them. And it's been brutal as an investor. Barry's asking, Sue interview next week and Frank the week after. Those are the two, that's exactly how I'm trying to line those up, but that is not finalized yet. So that is my intention. So hopefully we'll get those. I'm very anxious to talk to both of them because those are the two companies that were most involved in Ethereum, and Frank over at Hive much more so even than Sue at Hut 8. So I'd love to hear from them and see what, you know, where their mind is at right now on all of that. Billy Lyon said, I don't mind losing 24/7. Pardon me, sorry. I mean, it would be better if we could start making some money. Let's see, Tom, it could have BK, the market never forgets. Yeah. I mean, well, we're seeing that. They clearly have not been forgiven at all for that mistake. And with Bitcoin still lingering around $19,000, you know, that still leaves some doubt. You know, whereas you look at a Hut and you look at their balance sheet and, you know, they could go for they could still handle a long crypto winter. So, yeah, I know. There's no way I can defend that move. You know, hindsight's 20/20, but it was a high risk move. And it's not what their business model was. So they now seem to be, I mean, Ben was pretty adamant. They are a straightforward, they're sticking to Bitcoin mining and that's it. So, you know, hopefully if they stick to what they know how to do and don't get involved in these other types of more risky things, but only time's going to tell. So, and it's going to take time for the market to get confident, to regain their confidence. Alex is saying, with 7 positive reports, still can't overcome the decision. Yeah, I mean, they're still paying. There's no question about it. For Bitcoin to be at $1 right now, there's no question that is the reason. That's the reason, and it's a big reason. I mean, it's $100 million. These are not big companies. I mean, their market cap's only $200 million, so it's tough to have that kind of misstep. Let's see. I'm just trying to catch up on why is Hut not at June lows? They are holding strong. So I think Hut, the 3 companies that have fared the best over the last several months are Marathon, Riot, and Hut. So those also happen to be the 3 companies that have by far the most Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's why those companies have held their value better. So people are assigning a lot of value to those that held their Bitcoin, and especially since, unfortunately, so many of the Bitcoin miners had to switch from a hodl strategy to a sell strategy at Bitcoin's lows. Right now, nobody was selling at Bitcoin 60,000. So there was an awful lot of coins that were mined at 40,000, 50,000, 60,000. We got to 69,000. And, you know, to have held those and have to sell them at 22,000 or whatever the case may be, that's the exact opposite of what you would hope to happen. So I think that's why Hut still, they hodled 100% of what they mined in September, and they're going to keep doing that. So, I think the belief there is, if they hold on to that, they have over 8,300 Bitcoin on their balance sheet. If they hold on to those, then 5 years from now, that's going to be a gold mine. They seem to be getting rewarded, in my opinion. That's what it looks like to me. Crypto Golfer said, who else is tired of dollar cost averaging and ready to take profits? Yeah, I bet that's all of us. But we got to wait as long as we got to wait. Hello, Tom. I saw that Riot will vote for dilution next month. Thoughts on that? I mean, I think that Riot, it is inevitable. So they didn't have the votes the last time around, so they took it off. They actually, at the last second, even took it off the ballot and didn't even bother voting on it. But they need more shares. If they're going to get to the 12.5 exahash that they're talking about, they can't do it through debt. We hope they don't do it. And the other thing is Riot is in the second best performer over the last 90 days. So they've held on, they were down to $4. They're at $6.57. That's 60 or 70% up off of their lows. So I don't even mind them doing a little bit of dilution at $6 or $7 or $10, hopefully, or $12. What you hate to see, and you hope that they don't do, is go get that approved and then start selling stock at $4. And a lot of companies have had to do that, unfortunately. Bitfarms hodl strategy is, so Barry's asking, that's something to ask Ben next time about their hodl strategy, and Barry's saying, I'd like to see them keep 40%, and I think they're now finally in a position to do that, because they're now that's the other, obviously the bad news is they made a horrible financial decision, but the good news is they now mine so much Bitcoin that it's way more than their operations cost. So they pay for all their direct costs and all their overhead, and they have Bitcoin left over. So they now are starting to hodl again, but it's an awfully long road back to get to where they were. They had to sell so many Bitcoin because of what happened. So, but I agree. I would like to see them. I think you're right on. If they could keep, ideally, something like half and half. And I think that's what Riot's long-term plan is. They're going to keep half their Bitcoin, and they're going to sell half their Bitcoin and pay for operations as they go. So as many companies that can get to that. CleanSpark, and Alex said CleanSpark, right strategy, mine, sell, fund expansion. Yeah, and look, and that, I mean, their strategy was absolutely, for 2022, that is the strategy that worked the best by far. And that's why they are the only company out of all the Bitcoin miners that's exceeding their estimated exahash rate. Right? Everybody else has dialed down their expectations from what they were talking about on January 1st, where they expected to be by December 31st, 2022. Every company has reduced their exahash number, some of them considerably, 50, 60, 70, 80%. Others not that drastically, but CleanSpark, they're actually above where they thought they were going to be. So that worked out. Yes, that was the right strategy, and that worked for them, and that was a win. Let me see. Michael's saying it's best to start looking at stocks that sold off to new lows, like WBA, or even oil companies, or even CSX. And so that's the thing with, even when you look at stocks that have hit a new low, and I do that. I take a look at when stocks are down 90, 95%. I do my due diligence on them, because so many stocks are down 95%. And you know what? A lot of them are never coming back. So it's not, it's not a default like, hey, it's down 95%, let me buy it. But within that, there's a group of stocks inside of that got thrown out with all the rest that are coming back. So that's the job, is to try to find those stocks and to go through the pain of dollar cost averaging into them when the market just keeps punishing us day after day. But if, when you wake up 5 years from now, hopefully you're a very happy investor. Let's see. CleanSpark, $13 cost basis. Is there hope we see CleanSpark at 13 while they keep selling their Bitcoin? So to me, I think, and that's Ali, if that's pronounced correctly, said that. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of people that have very high cost basis in CleanSpark. They were all the way up at $40 January of 2021. They were, they've been at much higher numbers in the past. They're at their all-time lows. They hit $3, I think. And yeah, I think for CleanSpark and for all of these companies, a huge part of the equation is Bitcoin has to get some amount healthier than it is right now. As long as Bitcoin is bouncing around at 19,000 or 20,000, there's just no confidence at all in the cryptocurrency universe, in the cryptocurrency stocks. So, if and when we see Bitcoin get healthy, all of these companies that survive, and to me, CleanSpark, in my opinion, will be one of the winners, should have, they should have massive, massive gains. But, it's a matter of when, and are you going to still be holding the stock then, or, will you have lost too much sleep in the middle and have to get out? And that happens. Let's see. So it is a good thing, in your opinion, is buying Riot before the vote goes through something good, in your opinion? I hate to try and time things like that, because I think Riot's more dependent on what Bitcoin does than what happens out of that vote. But I think that's already priced in. The market knows Riot's going to have more dilution. They're not getting from 5.8 exahash to 12.5 exahash without a lot of money. So they can either bring that through in debt, which, by the way, has dried up. So if you can get debt at all, the terms are awful. People are not giving Bitcoin miner companies debt right now. And Bitcoin mining companies should not want debt. Look at what that has done to the companies that took on big debt. They're sweating it out right now, and there may be a bunch of them that don't get out of that debt. So I would rather see equity, smart equity, that gets them to where they're going than debt, for sure. So it's a longer term. I don't know how to play it in the short term. It's anybody's guess. But I think Riot has a very sound business plan. They pretty much stick to doing what they say they're going to do. So that's a company, for me personally, I have confidence in. Seriously, hi. Welcome. Welcome to our Friday. I think people are sick of losing money live stream. Hope you did all right this week. So I think I got to wrap it up pretty soon. If anybody has any last questions, but just to sum up, I want to hit a few of the stocks. There were some stocks that got just taken out today. Marathon was down 14%. Core Scientific was down 13%, and Core Scientific is below its lows from this summer. So that one has really gotten beaten up. Argo Blockchain down 23%. However, they announced that they are doing an equity raise. In addition to that, they're selling some of their Bitcoin mining machines. So they had, maybe they're doing what they need to do. So, you've got to do that. But they had what could only be considered a very negative press release today. So that's why they're down 23%. Iris Energy, on no news, is down 15.68%. So they got beat up big time. Stronghold down 8%. Wolf on no news down 23%. So these were some killer moves today. So I don't think I own any of those stocks, and even after the moves that they just made, the only one that have my eye on is Iris Energy, stock ticker IREN. So, but it still hasn't. That had such a run up. I'm still not sure that I'm ready to buy it yet. Anders says, do you have a Patreon or something like that? I heard you do live streams for members. So yes, we have a membership. YouTube offered me a situation where I could create a membership right inside of YouTube so that I didn't have to go to Patreon or some other third party. There should be a join button if you look at my YouTube page or one of my YouTube videos. And if you don't see that, if you're using an Apple product, if you look down in the notes, I give a description of how to join the channel, because some of the Apple products don't show the join button for whatever reason, but there's a fairly simple way to get to that and join the channel, and it's a nominal fee, and I appreciate everybody that's joined, and I think we have some great conversations. Tuesdays after the market close, we have another live stream that's members only, and I'm trying to get more and more content out also that's members only. I have a long list of videos that I want to make that I just can't make for the general public because they're not, you know, they're too far down the list. They're not going to get views, and you know, I don't want to overwhelm. There's already a lot of people that don't like 3 videos a day because they think it's too much. So I'm trying to keep, you know, 2 or 3 at the most to the general population. And then for subscribers, if you are interested, you know, deeper dives on all the rest of the Bitcoin miners. You know, there's 10 or 15 Bitcoin miners that I'd like to do videos on that I'm not going to do for the general public because they just don't want them. Mark says Lucid is garbage. I'm not sure if that was a random thought or a response to somebody else's question or comment. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of Lucid. I'm not commenting on the quality of their car. I think that's a company. The large cap EV companies have behaved the opposite of the small cap EV companies. They have very, very high market caps, in my opinion, for the size companies they are. So we'll see if some of them grow into that, but risky investments for sure. Gary said, Iris came out with monthly report this morning, so maybe... Yeah, you're right. They did come out with their monthly report, and that's an excellent point. Thank you for saying that. They mined 325 Bitcoin, so that is right... That was right where I was expecting them to come at. I think they did 301 last month. They did 325, so they were up month over month in a month where almost everybody else was down. I didn't see... You know, maybe the rest of the market saw something in that report that I didn't see. I did not see bad news in that report, but obviously the market did react very poorly to it. So, you know, maybe one of you guys can tell me what you saw in there that was disturbing, because they got beat up. Anders said, I will join, would like to show my appreciation and ask you more stuff in the chat. Yeah, and I also want to do videos for our members. I want the members to suggest some videos of companies that, you know, I just did and I still haven't gotten the video out, and I had a little unfortunate glitch and I lost the whole thing and I got to do it over again. But there will be a video coming out on App Harvest, which is a company I had never even looked at, and one of the members recommended it, and it was a very cool company, something I knew nothing about. So I did do a deep dive, and I'm going to put out a video on that. So I'd like to do that, you know, at least once a week, have the members decide on the live stream, hey, we want to see a video on, you know, whatever. Preferably something that, you know, people are interested in, but that I have not talked about before. So, you know, it's new content, and we can all learn something together, hopefully. Let's see. Tom, are you still buying Arrow? I dollar costed into Arrow a little bit this week, and so I have not sold any of my position in that, and I have done a little bit of dollar cost averaging in. I have really slowed down my dollar cost averaging because this market is so sideways for so long that I'm trying to redefine what, a buying opportunity is. But Arrow did hit a 52-week low, a new all-time low this week. So I did buy in once. So I still feel good about that company. I like what they're doing. I don't know. They're trading at they have more than twice as much cash in the bank as their market cap is, and no debt. So this is another one of those companies where and their cash burn rate is not big. So I'm not sure why they're this far oversold, other than the small cap EV companies, the ones, under $1 billion. Those also tend to be down 80, 90, 95%. Romeo got to a point where it was down 98.5%. So, I mean, those stocks have gotten beaten up, and I think the ones that survive have big upside ahead. I don't know. We'll see. Arrow has yet to prove they've started to get some sales, but they've yet to prove, they gotta show strong sales growth. But they have a long cash burn ahead left to do that, and they've made some big improvements to their product, so I'm hopeful on that one. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Barry said, I'm pretty sure you're going to run out of stock suggestions soon. I'll be suggesting crypto coins down the list. Yeah, I'd love to get crypto suggestions as well, because I've only just started to really do deep dives. I've only looked at about 6 cryptocurrencies in any meaningful way. So, if you guys have projects that are not, I want to try to avoid looking at just absolute junk coins that are a 1 in a million type scenario, but there's a lot of good projects, I'm sure, that I just haven't looked at. Alex is asking about Beam Global. I added to my Beam position as well this week. So that's one of my highest conviction plays. And I know, this is what can happen. It's been a year now. And, it could be another year. But we sit here, California is... So most of their stuff is on the West Coast. Obviously, they hope to expand and get to all 50 states at some point in the future, and they're in a bunch of other states. But particularly, the state of California is one of their biggest customers. And the state of California is in a situation where, they're regulating that everybody has to buy an electric vehicle, but at the same time, they're asking people, please don't, dry your clothes or cook dinner during these hours because we don't have any energy left on the grid, and it's going to cause blackouts. So what Beam offers, Beam is an off-the-grid solar electric vehicle charging station. And it's extremely affordable. I think that at some point, and they have gotten a lot of sales. They also vertically integrated. They bought one of the largest components in their piece of equipment. They bought that company, so now, they own that and sell those as well. I love the Beam story. I'm going to wait it out, and we'll see what happens. Let's see. Alex said, gotta run. Thanks, and thanks everyone for chat. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it. Always appreciate your comments and thoughts. And thanks for being a member. Let's see. Barry's saying, at Alley, he's covered Nano Dimension. Patrick a few times. Not sure about CCL. Oh, CCL Carnival. I did a video on Carnival. And it was more of almost a rant. And it was about just this. It's about the fact that the market is not rational, and you've got to know that. If you're sitting in here investing rationally and expecting rational things to happen in a timely manner, you're just in for a world of pain, because that is not how the market works. And I used Carnival Cruise as an example, and by no means I am not invested in Carnival Cruise. I have never been invested in Carnival Cruise. It is highly unlikely that I ever will be. It's just, you guys know what kind of stocks I deal in. That's not in my world. But it was absolutely the perfect example of irrational behavior. That stock has acted more irrationally than almost any other stock in the stock market. So I just ran through that whole scenario to show, like, this is what can happen. Like, you got to be able to wait this out, because ridiculously counterintuitive things can happen to these stocks just because that's what the market did to it. That's the only reason. So Michael, on Arrow, they have let's put it this way, they have, it's $70 or $80 million. I can't remember what it is. I could look it up, but they have twice as much cash as market cap. So I always like to look at companies that are in that type of a position, and they're very, only in horrible bear markets like this do those situations ever even come up. And even in these types of markets, you won't find a dozen stocks that have more cash, net cash, so cash net of all their debt. So in other words, clear and free cash they have more than twice their market cap in that. So, they're trading at 60 cents and they got $1.50 per share of cash in the bank. So, obviously nothing is totally safe, but they have a pretty long cash runway, and, their stock has been beaten down beyond my comprehension. Seriously saying NNDM is very safe. I mean, that's another one where I think, if you want to park money, they have about $1.2 billion, no debt. And by no debt, they have $1.2 billion, and I think they have $4 million in debt. So net of that, they still have approximately $1.2 billion of cash, free and clear. And I'm going to pull that one up because their market cap is radically less than that. So their market cap is $600 million. They have twice as much cash as that. So I am fairly comfortable. Their cash runway is like 40 years. So, while they may not explode in the short term, I just think your risk-reward equation there, no stock is immune and totally safe, but to me, that's one of the safer stocks in the market. And also, I like what they do, and I do think that they're going to move up. It might take 5 years. That is the hardest part about this. And I know a lot of people, almost nobody has a time year. Almost no one has a 5 to 10 year time horizon. I know some of you guys do, and you're seasoned investors, and you see what happens. But most people, it's very, very hard. That's not a criticism of people. It's just unbelievably hard to stay in that mindset when you see your stock moving in the wrong direction month after month after month, and sometimes year after year. But you only have to look at Tesla. Look at the people who stuck with Tesla through the hard times, right? They're millionaires. And, the same thing, in the generation before that, the same thing with people who stuck with Google and Amazon, right? Amazon was considered garbage. And, I'm sure there's many, many people who are millionaires today because they stuck with Amazon through year after year of just their stock getting worse and worse and worse. ABCL is also full of cash. Love that one. So yeah, I'll write that one down and look it up. See what's going on with that. CL. Barry's asking, why would NMDM still have debt? I don't know what, it's such a tiny amount, and I don't know what the answer is. Maybe as they acquired one of their other companies, because they bought a few small companies, maybe that company had debt already and they just didn't bother paying it off. It's a very, very immaterial amount of money compared to the, $4 million versus over $1 billion in the bank. Allie's asking Palantir and Snap. So Palantir is something, I wish it hadn't a run up like it has. Not, not that it's on a huge run up, but I was hoping that was going to get to a better buying opportunity, because I do think that company has massive upside. But I may never catch it, because I just might be waiting for the perfect moment that's never going to come. Right? It's over $8 now. Where's its 52-week low? So it's been down at $6.44. And I did think that was going to continue to get punished. Mark is saying buy Palantir at $6. So yeah, so you have the same process that I had. I thought they were going to get under $6, and I thought that was going to be a great buying opportunity. And maybe I missed my window. It might, if it doesn't get back down there, I'm never going to get in there. But I do like that company. That's a serious company, in my opinion. Let's see. I would like if NNDM would do a small buyback, but this is dreaming. No, actually, they are gonna do a small buyback, and it's kind of controversial, because they did so much stock dilution at gigantic numbers, and now they're gonna buy it back for pennies on the dollar. There's some investors that are mad at that, but I mean, their stock is being given away. Really, they can, with $1 of their own money, they can buy $2 of stock, effectively, because their stock is trading for half their cash. Teddy said, Tom, you skipped my question. Let me see if I can scroll back and find it. That was not on purpose. I'm having trouble scrolling back. Can you re-ask that? Because my screen is not scrolling backwards, and I don't see your question. But if you repost it, I'll see if it's something I know anything about and have an answer of. Yeah, Nano's going to buy some of the. It's not a huge buyback, and I think it's just a symbolic thing that says, hey, our stock's at a ridiculously low price. It's so low, we're going to buy it ourselves. My opinion on Fiverr. I haven't updated my due diligence on Fiverr. That has been on my watch list for a long time. Also, what's the other one that's a very similar business model, Upwork or something like that? And both of those were at buying opportunities. Then they ran up a little bit, and I just have too many other stocks ahead of them on my list. So, but Fiverr is on my list. It's just not near the top right now. So I'll try to get myself up to speed. I haven't looked at it in over a month, so I got a lot. I have too many lists. I have too many watch lists, and so there's some stocks that if they're running away from their 52-week low, I just stop looking at them, because there's so many other opportunities right now in this nightmare of a market that even some stocks that could be a great buy, they just don't rank high enough right now. Hims, yep, that's on one of my watch lists. Snap, I'm gonna have to do. I have not taken a deeper look at Snap in a long time, so I don't want to. I will look at it and talk about it. I do have a whole little list of Snap and Pinterest and all those guys, and I can't remember which one of them was an unbelievable. They got destroyed. Was it Snap that got, are they the ones that got, taken out? But I did not buy. Let's just look real quick. Yeah, I mean, they're at $10.66. This was a $80 stock. So they've been destroyed. So, market cap $17 billion. This is probably one it's time to update my due diligence on for sure. So I'll do that. Let's see, how do I dollar cost average? How much should I put in and how often? So there's a lot of different strategies. The technical definition of dollar cost averaging is basically the question you just asked. A true dollar cost average is, you know, every 2 weeks I'm going to take X amount out of my paycheck and invest it. I tend to more pseudo dollar cost average, meaning I will continue to average into a stock as it runs down. So I don't know when the bottom is. So if I'm in a stock and that stock price pulls back in a meaningful way, I will add to my position. Because, you know, obviously long term, I believe that stock is going to go up multiples. Most of the stocks I trade in, I believe, will be go up in many multiples over time. But you feel the pain, like, you know, somebody was saying earlier, you know, they were losing money. It's like, yeah, this part's painful. There's just no way around it. Snap IPO'd at 17, so it's way under its IPO value. Yeah, I gotta read their latest quarterly report and see what's what, and I'll try and get a read on that. PYR. So just so you guys know, when you put tickers in the chat, I do go through the chat afterwards and write those down, and I try and at least take a glance at those and see if they're something I can do a deeper dive on. HIMS has consistently done really good for the last year. They keep beating forecasts. One of my top holdings, CEO, knows his stuff as well. Yeah, and I haven't done my deep dive on HIMS either in many months. So I'll check that out. I don't know where they're at from a stock price standpoint. And it is, you know, I think everybody's suffering from a little bit of the same problem. It's hard to pick. There's so many stocks that are just, you know, from a valuation standpoint, they're just undervalued. And that doesn't mean they're going to come back today or tomorrow or the next day, but there's stocks at just historically low levels that make no sense. Even some large cap stocks, some blue chip stocks are now trading at levels that I think we're going to look back at in amazement. But, you know, in the middle of it, it's hard. When the stocks are going down, it's very hard to buy stocks when they're dropping. But the reality is, that's the only way to make money. As long as you buy the right one, obviously. All right, so I'm going to try to wrap it up. I think I went a little bit long this time, but I want to thank everybody for joining me on the live stream. Thanks for all your comments. I want to thank especially all the members. I really appreciate it. I enjoy our Tuesday live stream, so I'll be prepped for this Tuesday with some extra stuff. And for everybody else, thank you again for the views and for the comments on the channel. They do help. Right now, it's really, YouTube is, the YouTube financial sector has been abandoned. A lot of investors have given up. So I appreciate all you guys who have stuck with it and stuck with the channel and all the words of encouragement that I've got. So thank you very much to everybody, and I hope everybody has a great weekend.